Alright, so purpose here today is to go over the slime lab, which explores the scientific method, give you some ideas on how to conduct the lab so you can set up your pre-lab and be ready to go. Alright, so first let's look at the materials you have available to you. So your reagents are going to be pretty set as far as what you can use. You'll have 100 milliliters of glue. This will be pre-measured out in a plastic cup for you. You need to do this lab in a group, so it'll be 100 milliliters per group, which is plenty to make enough slime for everybody. You'll have a borax solution. Borax is a type of laundry detergent. It's just been mixed with water, and so that's available for you. Food coloring, so you can make your slime whatever color you'd like, and then some just regular distilled water also. So if we look at the equipment you have available, I'm going to give you an empty plastic cup. This is where you're going to mix your slime. You get the glue measured out in a plastic cup because glue is really messy and it's just hard to clean out of glassware. You get a scoopula, which is basically just a metal spoon, and in the video I'll show you where to find those. And then any measurement device you feel is appropriate. Because all of these reagents are in liquid form, my suggestion would be to use things that are used to measure liquids, like beakers, graduated cylinders, things like that. And then also think about how much are you going to be measuring. And so if you only want, let's say, 10 milliliters, maybe a 100 milliliter graduated cylinder isn't appropriate. Maybe you want a 25 milliliter graduated cylinder. So you kind of need to think about that as well. Alright, so a little bit of background info. Glue is made of what's called polyvinyl acetate molecules. And so what you're going to want to do is somehow get those molecules to float around a little bit. So think about what you could add to kind of break them up just a little bit. And then the borax causes these molecules to form what are called polymers. Well, polymer means many. And so a polymer are basically all these molecules stuck together. So let's say these are all our molecules and they stick together and then they start maybe not forming chains, and it kind of depends on the compound, but maybe instead they start to form this web-like substance or more of a cylindrical substance. So this would be a polymer. So the more linked those polymers become, or those molecules become, the thicker the slime is going to be. And so your goal is to take these 4 reagents, food coloring, glue, borax solution, and water, and determine what is the best recipe for slime. Okay, based on this background information. Okay, so before conducting the lab, you'll need to have, obviously, watched this. We'll discuss it, or there'll be some sort of pre-lab quiz. I'm not sure which one yet. And then you also need to have all of your pre-lab stuff set up. So you need a title, leave some space for your abstract, come up with a hypothesis. What do you think is going to be the recipe for good slime? What's the purpose of this lab? This time you're going to list your materials. Because you're creating your own list of materials and your own procedure, usually we would summarize this in a paragraph, but this time you're going to create your own materials list and your own procedure and steps, and then a blank data table where you can record all the data, all the measuring that you do. So as you're thinking about what steps you want to take, think about what kind of data you want to collect. Okay, and then also keep in mind that the materials and the procedure may change a bit once you actually conduct the lab, and that's okay. Maybe, when you're doing your materials and your procedure, leave a space, like go every other line or something, or type it on the computer so that once you've conducted the lab, you may want to go back and adjust your steps or your materials. Alright, during the lab, make sure to measure everything and write it down. This is what your data table is for. So when you're designing your data table, you may want a spot for like maybe your original amount of water, and then maybe you're going to add more water as you go through. So maybe you want, each reagent and several areas to record, multiple additions of material. You're not ever going to start over. You're going to start with your initial quantity of glue and keep adding materials to it until you get sufficient slime. So you'll want spots to record all of that information. Small quantities may work best. You probably don't want to dump a gallon of water into your glue and go from there. Maybe start small and see gradual changes. I would add the food coloring first. It really won't stick to the glue after it becomes a polymer, so decide what color you want and make that your first step. And then check your slime with me before starting to clean up so we can all make sure that we're on the same page as far as what slime should be, and then you can start cleaning up. So after the lab, clean all the materials with soap and water and put everything away where you got it. You're going to want to store your slime in a sealable plastic bag, otherwise it's going to dry out and it won't be useful anymore. And treat the slime responsibly. You may take it from this class. However, if you are caught using it irresponsibly, it will be confiscated from you, and you're probably going to ruin it for everybody else who ever wanted to conduct this lab in the future. So please treat it responsibly. And then you'll need to complete the lab report. So you'll need to modify your materials and the purpose if necessary, and then you'll need to write your conclusion. Remember, the conclusion consists of 3 paragraphs. The first one, you're going to restate your purpose, talk about your hypothesis, and then also talk about, did your results or your recipe support your hypothesis? Paragraph 2 is any error. What errors could have affected your results, and how did they affect your results? Be specific. So, did you add too much water? Were you unable to correct for that? How did that affect your results? So make sure you not only, I don't know what is going on with this. So make sure that you not only discuss the results, but how they affected your results. Discuss your errors and how it affected your results. And then the third paragraph is the chemistry concept. In this one, we're looking at use of the scientific method. So maybe discuss what it is, what would you do differently next time for this lab, and what suggestions for future labs on the topic of the scientific method can you think of? All right, so hopefully that takes you through how to conduct this lab. And obviously, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. Have a good day. Alright, so I'm going to show you where you can find some of the equipment for the slime lab. Alright, so let's flip you around here. Okay, so as you can see, almost all the drawers are labeled, so we've got all kinds of flasks, lots of beakers, so those might come in handy. Here are some other smaller flasks, lots more beakers of different sizes. Just real quick, when you open the cabinet, grab this one, and then do you see on the inside here, there's this little tab. So you need to pull that in order to open both the drawers. So you've got lots of beakers. And then the other big thing of interest is going to be this cabinet of graduated cylinders. You've got them organized by size, so pick the size based on how much volume you would like to measure. Okay, and the only other thing that I think you might need, so if we look down at the drawers at the bottom, this one down here marked spatulas, scopulas, and tweezers. These are going to give you the scopulas, okay, which you can use to do your stirring.